Hi there. My name is David Batsoffen and I host a travel blog called Travel and Things. At the moment, I'm doing a series called In Conversation With, and this morning I'm chatting to Benno Coetzee, who is the owner of See the World Travel. Benno, how are you doing?
Hi, David. I've been better, but we're hanging in there. We're surviving. No complaints at the moment. So.
Now, I see you have an absolutely blank wall behind you. Are you still in the leafy Linden suburb, or have you moved?
I've actually made a move. I've moved down to George. I'm now staying on in the Western Cape and loving every second. You know, I just spent too much time away from home, and we decided to go after security and comfort and quality of life. And we chose George and absolutely loved every second. For me, one of the best little towns in South Africa, definitely.
And luckily you moved just before lockdown.
Yes, everything went very well. I put my house in the market in September. It sold within 12 days. And we moved down in mid-December to George and loved every second.
Now, at the moment, see the world is a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? Because you can't see the world unless you're on a laptop or watching Netflix.
Yes. No, COVID-19 or Corona really has thrown a big span in the works for everybody involved in the tourism industry.
Yeah.
You know, it's not only me, but unfortunately, we were the first guys to feel the effect. Mid-February when it started spreading through Italy, all of our clients already said, listen, hang on, what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
And we'll be the last to feel the effect because we can only operate again once international leisure flights open up again. And, when that will be, nobody knows.
Well, this is the thing. Everybody's waiting for that, I don't know, magical date, be it September 1st, October the 14th, I don't know. And I don't think anybody anywhere in the world actually knows when they can say we're back to pre-March 26th.
Yeah, I think, as stated by the Department of Tourism at the moment, they're talking about a September or October opening for regional tourism, and I think that's something that should already open up. I know we are reaching a peak and it's crazy at the moment, but the amount of money that's going lost in the tourism sector, I'm not talking only about the restaurants, but, guest houses, Airbnbs, lodges, the whole industry really is struggling, So as soon as regional can open, when international will open and how they will open is another thing, because, nobody will travel to Europe if you have to spend 14 days in quarantine that side before you can start traveling around, then fly back to South Africa and spend another 14 days in quarantine. Yeah. So
that's your holiday.
That's a month in quarantine to go on a 2-week holiday. So, it's not going to happen like that. I know, it's going to take time. We're all just praying on a treatment first before a vaccine, because I think a treatment might be closer. We're learning more about COVID every day as we do go on. And as soon as we find a decent treatment, and we can stop the spread, I think countries will start to open up. But, countries like what we're seeing in Europe at the moment, they're putting out, let's call it a blacklist of countries with high spread that they are not allowing in at the moment. And obviously South Africa is on that. Yeah. So, there's no chance for us to travel anywhere until our government opens our borders for international travel. It's not going to happen. But say that does happen, who's going to allow us in? And what will the spread be then? So then it's difficult, and for us also, we focus on coach tours and how will they approach coach tours? Because you're sitting with 40 people on a coach driving through Europe, seeing multiple countries, doing sightseeing. How will the rules be in regards to that? Will we be forced to do social distancing, only 25 or 30 people on a coach, or can we take full coaches? And how would the logistics work? It really is. It's going to be very interesting the next 12 months, to say the least. But we're seeing a best case scenario at the moment, or that's what I believe, of international leisure flights opening about February next year.
It's interesting because you guys in the travel industry, and specifically you with coach tours through Europe, and we've been on a coach tour with you or with your company, and it was wonderful. We still speak lots about Croatia and the various countries that we saw, Italy and all of those places. which are now close to us, as you say. But again, you can't speak to your suppliers in Europe and say, oh, listen, I'm coming with, because until they're open and accepting, South Africans aren't going to book with you.
No, absolutely. It's a big catch-22 that we're stuck in at the moment. You know, it's very, very difficult for us to start planning future tours. You know, I think come 2022, I think definitely we'll see, let's call it an 80% recovery in 2022. And we've already had very positive signs. You know, we had Passion Play scheduled for 2020 for this year.
Yeah.
We had more than 300 people that were booked to go to the Passion Play, booked and confirmed. Passion Play got postponed to 2022, which I think was a brilliant decision from the organizers, because next year, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we've now rebooked everything for the Passion Play in 2022, and we've had about 150, 160 people already rebooked for 2022. Some of the tours have actually already sold out. So the interest is definitely still there. You know, people will want to travel. People will want to get out there once it is allowed to do so. You know, under what conditions and what restrictions there will be, that will remain to be seen. We'll only know that a lot later down the line. But yes, I mean, as you rightly said, it's very difficult at the moment to start planning for next year, you know, because people don't want to pay deposits necessarily and don't know what's going to happen with the money. So we are working on a different concept style tour next year that, you know, we can cancel 3 months in advance, free of charge. So, you know, we are trying our best to get something like that online to give the clients the trust and, you know, make them feel a bit more relaxed. So listen, you can still cancel 3 months prior. If you feel 3 months prior you're not comfortable traveling as it's spreading in Europe or the virus is still wherever, then you can still cancel free of charge. But it's unfortunately not there. You know, that's where the suppliers and everything comes in, where we trying our best to negotiate terms now. And we have, to be honest, they are quite lenient, you know, because we have to be able to offer the clients a product that they would want to book. Nobody would want to book now with the uncertainties of 2021 and wherever it might be. So we need to be able to offer them a package which can convince them, okay, I'm comfortable to book. If it doesn't happen, at least I get my funds back. So that's what we're trying to do.
You may also find that because if there's a resurgence of the virus, that 3 months is no longer valid. You'll have to go down to maybe even, I don't know, 2 weeks if something happens to the client. That even those rules will have to go out of the window and be reassessed almost on a trip by trip basis.
So you see what will most likely happen, because for us, you know, we're entering bigger cancellation terms in the last 3 months. You know, that's when you really start to lose funds if you do a lot of cancellations. But we have built very good relationships with a lot of suppliers over the last 10 years that we have been operating. And a lot of them are quite lenient, but it's not always the case, especially the airlines. You know, they've also taken a huge knock during the last period. But I think the way forward, you know, we've got very good relationships with some of the travel insurance suppliers as well. And some of them have, when COVID-19 started to affect the South African industry, say end of Feb, March, you know, everybody was running to the travel insurance. Will I get money back or what will happen? And they actually brought out a product which does cover cancellation for any reason or whatever might happen. It's a lot more expensive, but we, you know, once we do have tours and once we are trying to put these packages together again, this will be an option that we can offer to the clients. You know, it's a lot more expensive than your day-to-day travel insurance, but I think the comfort that will provide guests will definitely make a huge difference in the decision making if they can travel or if they cannot travel. Because let's say, for example, 2 or 3 weeks prior, they do get COVID-19 or whatever the reason might be, then there is at least a clause that cancel for any reason and you will get 90% of your funds back. I'm not in travel insurance. I cannot advise on that. That's always the travel insurance part. There's always small print. But, you know, at least then we're trying to give the clients the best option at the end of the day.
What do they say? The large print giveth and the small print taketh away.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, Benno, I believe that shouldn't be an option. That should be compulsory, because it protects both you and your client. You have peace of mind that it's not going to come out of your pocket, and they have peace of mind that they're going to get the majority of their funds back. So it's a win-win situation. And it's like medical insurance. When people don't take it, go overseas, something happens, they can't get into the hospital of their choice. And then when they ask, and then they, go onto TripAdvisor or something like that and go, ooh, ah, and then somebody will say, but did you have proper insurance? No, I just had the insurance on my credit card. Well, that doesn't really cover it if you're in a place where medical insurance is so expensive that you've got to give your kidney in order to get it repaired. Offer a arm and a leg to get a broken ankle fixed. I know this may be a rather strange question, but what did See the World have planned for this year?
David, we in February, when it started affecting us, we already had about 1,250 clients booked and confirmed for tours in 2020. We had 2 school tours, sold out school tours. We had the Passion Play, which we had more than 300 people. In addition to all our normal tours, you've seen a lot of our tours. We had 3-4 Croatia tours, Greece tours, Spain, Portugal, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Scandinavia. I mean, I was scheduled to go on a ski tour to Livigno in Italy 1 week before Italy went into lockdown. Thank goodness we weren't stuck there. So, we made the right decision and cancelled at the right time. But no, we would have had probably one of our biggest years ever. We had, excluding December tours. So, I mean, we probably would have taken close to 1,500 people into Europe this year. So it's been costly and it's been bad, but we plan on making a comeback very quickly in 2021.
Isn't it time to pivot now and do See South Africa tours with See the World? See South Africa, a subsidiary of See the World.
It's something I've thought of long and hard. But for me, and I'd like to see comments of people viewing this video to see what they think. But from speaking to friends and from speaking to family, speaking to people as we go on, obviously there's a lot of risk in setting up a company like that because our provincial borders are still closed. Yeah. Our leisure tourism is still closed, so that still would have not been able to happen at the moment. But the thing I think that doesn't really make it viable is South Africans are not afraid to travel to South Africa. They can get into their car and travel and visit the sites which they want to do. No, according to me, and I might be very wrong, but I don't think the South African clientele wants to get on a coach and drive through South Africa on a coach. Yeah, to see something that they can see in their own car. True enough. That was my thought process behind it, and I said I don't think it's worth it. So we're not going local. We're trying to support some local guest lodges and Airbnbs and whatever we can, just to try and help the people in the industry. We know everybody in the tourism industry is suffering, but for me, doing a See the World South Africa, I don't see it as viable.
All right. So another left of field question. Take me back to Benno in matric. What did you want to do?
I always said I have to be out there. I have to. I'm not an office job person. I can't wear a tie and a suit every day and go and sit in any form of those works. It's not me. I originally thought game ranging. That was a huge passion of mine. I love being outdoors in the wild. But then my dad actually told me, listen, no problem. You can go into game ranging, but first you're going to go get yourself a proper degree, study something, and then if you still have that passion after you finish studying, by all means, then go into the game ranging. And then I went to study BCom tourism and event management in Potchefstroom, and that's where I thought, this is fun. When I actually left varsity, I did my honors in tourism as well. I thought, okay. So event management, that more than the tourism side. I liked organizing things and arranging whatever, conferences, parties, whatever you can think of. So went to London for 3-4 years, started to look for employment within the event management industry, and it really was very, very difficult. I did a few bar stunts where I was a barman and things like that, but it wasn't very easy getting into that market within London, where I stayed at the moment at that point in time. And then an opportunity came up within one of the big tour operators in London, and that's kind of where the tourism start. The tour operator side of me. started to explore and completely fell in love with the idea. And yes, I mean, came back to South Africa in 2010 and had a slow start to see the world. It's been a fantastic journey. You know, we really started off with, I think the first year we took about 40 people into Europe. The next year we did about 80 or 90 people. The year after we went up to about 300, and that's when it completely exploded. You know, up to a company that did, last year we did 1,400 people. This year we would have done at least 1,500 people. So, you know, very proud of what we have achieved with See the World over the last 10 years. But it's unbelievable how a pandemic like this can pretty much close you down. You know, it's guaranteed 12 months with zero income for the company. So, what would have been one of our best years is just completely been, I don't know if you can call it destroyed, but all hopes for anything is out the door. From big, so as I said, at least February next year.
But also, I mean, if you think of your choice, your dad saying go to varsity, get a real job, so you go into eventing, and that industry has also closed its doors, put chains on the windows, closed all the burglar bars, and everybody's gone home. So it would have been no better off in the eventing industry than you are where you are sitting currently.
No, absolutely. No, I wouldn't have been better off. I think there's a few industries that's really been hit very hard, and events is one of them as well. I mean, artists, they are struggling a lot. You know, there's a lot of industries. I mean, all the gymnasiums have been closed for how long, and when they're probably one of the last to open as well. Restaurants, my heart goes out to anybody that owns a restaurant. You know, it really is very, very tough with these curfews and the alcohol bans and all of that.
But also,
it's tough for a lot of people out there.
If you think about the gyms, Benno, at the moment, everybody is leaning in, reaching out, pivoting. Nobody needs to go to a gym. I'm exercising while I'm sitting in this chair talking to you because I can reach out, I can lean in, and I can pivot all at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
Benno, do you have, in the past 10 years and prior to that, did you have favorite places to visit and places that you wish or that you long to visit again?
Absolutely. You know, I've been very, very fortunate the last 13, 14 years within the tourism industry to have seen some of the most beautiful places around the world. You know, and I've seen it not once, I've seen it many times. You know, for me, natural beauty, natural scenery means a lot more than man-made beauty. You know, so you know, we started off with Scandinavian tours about 4 years ago. Norway, the fjords, it's something spectacular. The Alps, Swiss Alps especially, you know, the Jungfrau Valley where we always go, it's unbelievable. And then, you know, you get the islands. The Greek islands for me is right up there as well. It really is beautiful. So for me, you know, I would say those kind of things. Croatia, which you visited, that's natural scenery. I've got nothing against man-made beauty. I mean, Dubrovnik is the most beautiful little town that you can find. I love that. But for example, the Rome's, you know, I've been to Rome probably one too many times, and I wouldn't always say this, but you know, to see the Colosseum, it doesn't do anything to me. I've seen it 25, 30 times. Where every time I go back to the Swiss Alps or the Norwegian fjords, yes, it does impress me every single time.
I hear what you're saying. Talk us through a typical tour. What can guests expect of you? And more importantly, what do you expect from your guests on a coach tour?
Well, I mean, David, you've been on one of our tours. I think the big niche that we are offering the clients is the service of taking the stress and the hassle out of your holiday. I think that's the big thing. From booking through the whole visa process, through what you need to pack, through what you don't need to pack. We, either myself or one of our staff members, flies out with the guest. We meet you at Oliver Tambo. We help you through customs. We fly out with you. We help you through customs that side, onto the bus, into the hotel. We do the check-in. So
wait, hang on. Don't call it a bus, Benno. You know as well as I do that coach people will slaughter you if they hear you call it a bus.
Absolutely. There's a huge difference.
There is indeed, as I was pointed out to, not on your tour, because by then I'd already learned, but on a prior coach tour where I'd written about the bus that I'd driven on, and the CEO got hold of me and went, let me explain the difference between a bus and a coach, David.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Don't call a coach driver a bus driver.
No.
But anyway, I mean, as you were saying, that I think that's the niche, and it's proper value for money. See multiple attractions in a short time within a reasonable budget. I think that's we've hit the nail on the head with the concept of our tours. And it's, as I said, it's extremely popular, especially our Western European tours, which covers your France's, Germany, Austria, Netherlands, Italy, the main highlights, 7 countries, 16 days of Western Europe. It's a once in a lifetime holiday for a lot of these people. For a lot of our guests, it's a once off dream holiday. And that's what we try to provide within a reasonable budget. Hotels, you can agree or disagree with me if you want, but the hotels are always neat, always clean, always comfortable, always well refrigerated. And that's what, at the end of the day, you only spend so much time at the hotel. You're not going on holiday in your hotel room.
As long as the bed is comfortable, there's fast Wi-Fi, and there's a decent breakfast. For the rest of the day, you're out anyway. I mean, I remember the one hotel that we were upgraded to in Dubrovnik because they had made a mess with the booking. They upgraded us to another hotel, and the Wi-Fi in our room worked at the door. But if you took one step into the room, it no longer worked. So I got hold of the front desk and I said, look, there's a table and chair in my room, and we're in a cul-de-sac of a passage. I'm prepared to put the table and chair in the passage and work there if the other guests don't mind me sitting in my underwear. Conversely, you can find me a different room. And they came up and they checked, and it was one step inside, nothing. And then they walked me through a series of other rooms that they had available until we found one that had great Wi-Fi at a desk with a view out of the window. And they went, there, are you happy with that? We'll move everything. You go out, we'll move your goods for you, which they did. And wonderful. And I think that's part of what you guys offer, because you know the hotels, you know what they're capable of doing and how they will deal with your clients.
No, for sure. I've worked for a very long time with a lot of these hotels, and we know the management, we know the reception, frontline staff, we know everything, and as long as we've got a good relationship with them, we try to keep them happy with their terms in regards to partial cancellations or whatever it might be. And it's a lot of people, it's a lot of beds that we fill at the end of the day. So they appreciate our business, and they try their utmost to keep me, my staff, and most importantly, the guests extremely happy with everything that does happen on it. So.
And I think the things that are out of your control and need to be seen as part of the experience, not, oh, this is making me angry, are the border stops. And we had a lot of those where those border guards just decide to, look at every single passport, want to look at every piece of luggage. And if there are, 40 odd people in a coach, it takes a bit of time. And then there is always one person in that coach. And I see you laughing at it already because you know where I'm going. That is always late. No matter how early you make the call, they will keep the entire bus waiting.
Yeah, well, to touch on your first point, they are, please. The borders, luckily, 99% of the countries we do visit, there are no border controls.
Yeah.
Any, like the previous tour I mentioned, with the Schengen agreement in place, there's no border controls. We get a spot check once every 3 or 4 years. If you're crossing from, let's say, France into Belgium or whatever the case might be, you see the old border post, but there's actually no border control, and you just drive straight through. But on your trip with Croatia is at that point in time, and I still think, but it's busy changing, it was not part of the Schengen agreement, but
no,
it was only country. So that meant border controls. And unfortunately, not only once, but it meant a few times, because crossing into Bosnia or whichever, there's a few different border controls on that trip, or going back into Hungary at the end of the trip. So for that tour, yes, most definitely, you do get a few border controls. Sometimes you get them and it goes very quickly, but sometimes, especially if you pull in after 2 or 3 other coaches, it can unfortunately take a bit of time. But luckily, it's only on the Croatia tour that we are seeing that problem. And then, I mean, the latecomers, you always forget them. You know, we'll try to have an individual little small chat with them. We'll see if it happens more than once. But you know, sometimes they just need a good scare. We've done it a few times, and we've just taken the coach around the block and parked it at the back, and they come out. They see no coach, and then I stand in the corner laughing and say, "Listen, this is the last time. Next time, I'm really leaving."
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, that tends to be the last time. But I mean, it does happen. But I mean, you spoke earlier. What do you expect from the guests? I mean, as long as they're in good faith, they're spirits. You know, they're there on a amazing once in a lifetime holiday. And they're there to have a good time. But at the end of the day, they just need to respect all other people. You know, if you respect all other people on the guests, everybody respect each other. It's plain sailing, and it really makes life a lot easier for us as the tour guides on the tours, a lot easier as well. And it makes the experience for everyone better. But I mean, things like this happen. But the good thing is, with See the World, I think, you know, we take 99% South Africans on these tours. Sometimes the odd person from Namibia or Botswana or whatever the case might be, but 99% is South Africans. And I think South Africans in general are very similar with their interest and the way of being at the end of the day. So the groups in general tend to get along extremely, extremely well. And we've had tours gone 6-7 years ago. They had the tour, say, in 2013, and the people and the guests now call each other and say, "Listen, did you see the new Croatia tour from Seoul? I want to go on that one." And we find more and more that people are coming back on later tours as groups that traveled together 3 or 5 or 7 years ago, whatever the case might be.
You preempted me on that one, because I'm still in my wife and I are still in contact with several people who are on that tour with us, on birthdays and anniversaries and that type of thing. But the interesting thing for you, I think, is that a lot of your clients are return clients. And as you say, they have gone as a group, they like the group, now they book again as the same group to go and see somewhere else, which says a lot about See the World, Benno, and more specifically about your the people on the ground that you send with the tour.
Yes. No, I think we've really achieved a big thing there, you know, with keeping the people happy and the return clients. I mean, for a client to return is a big thing, you know. Then we know that we ticked all their boxes. You know, it doesn't help that you help them a lot with the visa process prior to the tour departure. At the end of the day, it's the experience that they get on the tour that really does count. So I mean, our return clients, we've got clients doing 3-4 tours a year with us at the moment. You know, they retired and they've just decided See the World's the only way to go. And they've done more than about 19 tours already. And they were booked on 3 tours this year that's been cancelled by COVID. And that's just one couple as an example. You know, there's quite a lot of them. We get groups of people coming back every year, 20, 25 people, a group of friends that's made tours, and they just keep coming back. And along with that, you know, the other thing that really helped See the World grow into the company which it is now is, you know, I mentioned it earlier, the big boom when we went from 300 up to 500, 600 and over the 1,000 is the word of mouth part of it.
Yeah.
You know, because you've now done Croatia, you come back and you put 300 photos on Facebook, and all your friends and your followers see that you've done this tour. And then in 2 years' time, one of your friends wants to go to Croatia, and he tells his wife, "Listen, David went to Croatia. Let's find out with you who he went and was he happy?" And the person will call you. You say, "Yes, See the World's fantastic. Please do go with them. You cannot go wrong." And then they book. You know, there's no stronger marketing medium than word of mouth at the end of the day, because you'll trust a friend advice and what they tell you about it a lot more than what you might see an ad pop up on Google or Facebook or whatever the case.
Would you consider doing See the World cruises rather than coach tours?
I would. It is something that I've been looking into, but I think even worse than coach tours, the cruise line industry is going to take longer to recover than the coach tours. You know, with the
True enough.
What was it, Princess Diamond or what was it?
5,500 people come down with COVID-19.
You know, and the cruise companies has taken a lot of flack over the last few months, and I think they're gonna have to probably the same as me, but I don't think that industry will recover to its full at least until 2022, when a vaccine is around and people feel safe to return. I think it's a wonderful way of traveling around. It's a very good way to see a lot of places while staying in the same room the whole time. That's one thing I think is very nice from cruises. You don't have to take your suitcase and pack every single day. But the other thing, obviously, being on a cruise line, you're a lot more restricted to anything close to the shoreline. You can't go in to the Swiss Alps on a day trip. If you stop somewhere in Italy, it's too far. You can't see all of it.
You can, but then what happens to you happened when we did a cruise, New Zealand, Australia, and the captain does we spent the day in Melbourne, and he said the ship has to leave at 4 o'clock because they get fined for literally every minute that they still tied up after their leaving time, and they're big fines. And he warned everybody. He said, if you're not on the ship by 3:30 or whatever it is, we're leaving you behind. And much like you took your coach around the corner, we left a guy standing on the pier. I can see him as I talk to you, standing on the pier, waving to his buddies on the ship. And I spoke to them afterwards and I said, why did he do this? Because he now had to fly. We were in Melbourne, so he had to fly to New Zealand if he was going to pick up the ship again. I don't know what happened to him. But they said, no, he said to them, don't worry, the captain will wait for me. Well, the captain didn't wait for him. And unfortunately, I don't know the end to that story.
Well, I'll be honest, it has happened with us. And, you talk about the latecomers, but we actually have left people before, because it gets to a certain point that you just decide, listen, this ain't on no more. We've waited enough now, and I've given enough warnings. I remember a couple of young friends, 2 guys, traveling together on one of our Oktoberfest tours. And obviously went into the beer tents and had a big draw, like all of the other guests. But, the tents close around 10:30, 11. So, I mean, then you go back and you get a good night's rest. And tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, you're good to go again. But obviously, these 2 young blokes, single young blokes, I might add, decided it's still time to go on and have a bit more of a party and experience the Munich nightclubs. And then, they went off, and next morning we had breakfast. I didn't see them at breakfast. Started loading the luggage. Still no sign of them. So luckily I've got all the room numbers with me. Went up to the room, knocked on the door, no reply. Went down to reception, got an extra key. Went into the room, nobody to be found. They weren't even at the hotel. Tried calling 3-4 times, both mobiles, sent WhatsApp messages, no reply. And boom, left a letter on their door, see you in Venice. And they had to catch a train. I think they got a train down to Venice at about 1,000 rand per person. They eventually caught up, and the group understood what we did, because we had a schedule and itinerary to keep to, and we can't, based on the performance and the party of 2 people, let the rest of the group miss out on some of the attractions in Venice. We've got a guided tour booked, we've got lunch stops booked on the way, so we run a tight schedule. We can't wait an hour and hope you rock up. So we've done that before.
So when does your book come out? Because you must have some wonderful stories that you can regale people with.
For sure. I've actually thought of this, but the thing is, so many things happen that you actually tend to forget all the things. If you sit around a bonfire and chat with a few guests or with staff, then it comes back and it comes out again. But actually, after every tour, you have to sit down and just on a note write down short 6 things which happen on this tour. And by all means, I mean, I think by the time I retire out of this industry, I would have been able to write a few books. It would have been very interesting. Yes.
You talk of leaving people behind. We left Dubrovnik to go somewhere. I think it was a day trip, and 2 people climbed on the coach. And I looked at my wife and I said, I don't recognize these people at all. But hey, I don't know, maybe wherever we going, they going, and Benno's allowed them on. I don't know. Anyway, we take off, and it gets to a particular point when they realize that they're on the wrong coach. And then they start having a screaming match with the guide that we had, saying, "How could you do this?" And we go, "But did you not realize that you didn't speak to any of us? You didn't ask where we were going." But luckily, the coach that they had to be on was going in the similar direction, and we were able to drop them off on the side of the road. And because we contacted the coach, their coach, which was literally just a few kilometers behind us, so they were able to hop on. But then again, and I think that particular person from your tour who'd won the tour as a prize in a competition you were running was on the bus with us, and we getting to the first border crossing, and he realizes that he doesn't have his passport with him because we're now crossing. And everybody had been warned at dinner the night before, make sure you have your passports. At breakfast before we got on the coach, make sure we got your passports. He had to catch a taxi. You talk about those people and 1,000 rand. That taxi to take him back to Dubrovnik and bring him back to the border cost him literally as much as he'd saved on the tour. It was thousands of rand. But I must admit, he had a really good attitude about it. And he said, "I have nobody to blame but myself. So the only person that I'm going to be screaming at is me."
Yeah.
No,
I can tell you, luckily we've had a lot of people get onto our buses, and a lot of time our guests get onto the other buses. But luckily we as guides we count, or make sure everyone's there. And sometimes you see a weird face, and you're like, "Listen, you're going to Rome? No, I'm on my way to Munich. You're on the wrong bus. Sorry." But so we're okay with that. But I remember one instance. Sometimes we stay in the big hotels. There's 2 or 3, maybe 4 coaches parked outside.
Yeah.
And the guests would have breakfast or whatever, and then they would take their bag outside. And then without looking or thinking, they load their luggage onto the wrong coach, bus. Oh, no, coach, yeah. Sorry, coach.
Yeah.
And they load their luggage onto the wrong coach. And then they think they're fine. And we do the normal check. Everybody sure they got their luggage, got your passports, let's go. And then we're heading down, let's say, to Venice, and that other bus is going north through Germany, let's say Rhine Valley or whatever. And that night, we end up in Venice, and where's my suitcase? And we say, "Listen, this is our coach, or you sure loaded it?" She's 100% sure we loaded it. And then we find out 2-3 days later, "No, listen, your luggage is now 800 kilometers north of here in the Rhine Valley, whilst we're sitting in Venice." So no, that's definitely happened. Then it's DHL and couriers to get the stuff back, but it's a good laugh.
Benno, are there places that you're looking at, new venues for maybe 2021 and 2022?
Yes, we had a new tour planned for 2020 to Russia that would have actually flown out in about 2 weeks now. For the second week of August, I would have been out to Russia for Moscow, St. Petersburg, and an 8-day boat trip on the rivers and the lakes. Right. That was a new trip for 2020. It was sold out, but we'll definitely do that again in 2021. Then in December last year, I visited Bali with the family to try and expand a bit in the east. At the moment, we were only really doing Thailand tours to the east, but I think the east is a lot more affordable. You get some beautiful, beautiful areas. So we visited Bali, loved every second, and I think Vietnam's close on that list as well. So I think we'll be expanding a bit more to the east within once everything starts getting back, because everybody's taking a knock. I think guests will look at more affordable destinations at the end of the day, and I think the east will then become more popular with South Africans. So we're definitely thinking of going a bit more towards the east, but Europe has always been extremely popular, and that will always be our main sites and main places which we visit. We're just hoping on the euro, that it can recover at least to somewhere around the 18 rand to a euro. Because the levels we're seeing at the moment, your 19 to 20 rand a euro, that's it does make a big difference on a trip, for the package price that we can sell it at, but also when you go out for a meal and a beer or a glass of wine, all of a sudden you're multiplying by 20 instead of 16, 17, which was pre-COVID. It makes a big difference if it's a daddy traveling with a family of 4 or 5.
Indeed, it does. I mean, we found out the hard way in Dubrovnik. Cara ordered, it was my birthday, and we spent it at King's Landing. And she ordered a glass of wine at lunch and didn't realize, she thought she was ordering a bottle. It was 185 Rand a glass. And she only found out when she ordered the second glass. And the waiter luckily said, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yes, well, I bought the bottle. I may as well finish it." And he goes, "No, it wasn't by the bottle. It was by the glass." We still laugh about that. Benno, in wrapping up our chat, and thank you so much for your time and for putting on a short sleeve shirt, seeing it's cold in Georgia at the moment. I know this. For people who are looking, who are planning forward now, how can they find out more about you? You have a website, you have a Facebook page?
Yes, we're very active on Facebook. Just go and look for See the World. It's just the letter C and then the world. And obviously our website is seetheworld.co.za as well. All our contact details are on there. All our tours are on there, even though there's not a lot for next year at the moment. But we, as I said, we're hoping on a full recovery in 2022. But yes, go visit the website. Follow our Facebook page as soon as we do have any news about the tour starting up or new tours going on sale. We put everything on there. We're on Instagram as well at See the World SA. So follow us on the social media platforms and obviously the website, or just drop us an email and we'll be glad to assist with any queries.
Great stuff. I've been in conversation with Benno Coetzee, who's the owner of See the World. Benno, thanks for being my guest. It's been great catching up with you. And I hope that maybe before 2022, we can saddle up and ride with you guys once again.
Yeah, for sure, David. Hope to see you again on a future tour once everything is settled. But thanks a million for taking the time. Always awesome catching up with you, and stay safe up there, stay healthy, and let's hope for a vaccine as soon as possible so we can get back to traveling again.